Stepping out of a comfort zone you have lived in for so long is never easy for someone, but for me, it was not a problem. I never really had any interaction with anyone from a different culture until I came to Campbellsville last fall. As a baseball player at Campbellsville, I have had a lot of contact with the Venezuelans that play with me. One in particular I have grown a fond relationship with is Jonathan Echeverria. My name is Dalton Collett. I am a freshman here at Campbellsville University, and I am going to entertain you with an experience I have had getting involved with someone from a different cultural background than that of myself. Interviews, time shared together, research, and observation have led me to an understanding of a culture that is completely separate of mine. This time I have spent with Jonathan has led me to a greater understanding and a very deep respect for different cultures, not only of Venezuelan culture, but also of other cultures, even those I have had no experience with. So I sat down with Jonathan and we talked, and I asked him about all aspects of life in Caracas, Venezuela. Going from a large important city to a small town is extremely different, he tells me. He says the amount of people you come on a daily basis in Venezuela doesn't compare to here in Campbellsville. Walking on the streets of downtown Venezuela is a much different experience than walking to the class on the sidewalks of Campbellsville. He tells me that you don't even feel safe walking through downtown Caracas, and people are bitter and do not have the same smile and wave you get from here in Campbellsville. But Jonathan was quick to add that even though there are strangers who are not so friendly, you have so many friends, and they are so much closer than the friends he has had here in Kentucky. Many things that friends and do not do another here they would not think about in Venezuela. Coming from a big city to this small town, it's gotta be different. He also said that cities in America are not quite as different in Venezuela. Living in Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela, gives so many things to do. There is no time you could not find something to do in Caracas, Jonathan tells me. But he admits that there is a nightlife in Caracas. Lots of clubs and bars fill the streets downtown. Singing and dancing are a very large part of Venezuelan culture. It is rare to find a person above 12 years old that do not know how to dance, whereas in America it is very rare that someone knows how to dance. The next question I asked Jonathan is how his transition to Campbellsville was, and how different it must be. A transition to a different country where you might not know anyone there is a very scary idea, and even scarier when you actually go through it. His first impressions and emotions of coming to Campbellsville to study mass communication were very mixed. Not knowing what to expect and wondering if someone from a foreign country would even be accepted was his first worries, he tells me. I have always been good at making friends, but then again it was always Venezuelans, not Americans. The acceptance shown towards me and how easy it was to make friends came to a shock. But I enjoyed it so much, he replies. He said he had a general idea of what to expect when coming over here, but nonetheless, it was a scary thought of even coming. I asked Jonathan if it was hard to learn English, and if he had known any before he came. His response was that many things in Venezuela had English words on them, and a lot of people he knew spoke English. Listening to him now, you can tell that learning English was a fairly simple task for him. And though he slips up sometimes and gets mixed up with grammar, it's very easy to understand what he's trying to get. Very curious about religion and his culture, I was led to ask him about beliefs and differences in religious in between here and Venezuela. Talking to Jonathan, I was surprised to find out that the religion is not as different as I thought. According to the Encyclopedia of Nations and Jonathan, I learned that the main difference is that the majority of people are Roman Catholics. Protestantism is a minority in Venezuela. Jonathan says that also he claims himself Catholic, there are things he does not agree with that he finds Christianity to be correct. The people take religion very seriously in Venezuela as well. Most decisions made by citizens, as well as ranking government officials, are based on a religious belief and are dealt with as the religion would deal with. Going into further research on Venezuelan religion, I ran across a source that described a cult religion known as Maria Leonza. The cult that originated in Venezuela is said to be an important contribution to all of Latin America. Originating in Caracas, it was established sometime early in the 20th century, but is not your typical style of religion. Not guided by an established philosophy that would shape believers' understanding of religion or social matters, it is more of a spiritual-based religion that solves life's questions such as disputes or economical issues. The pilgrimage that go along with these religions are also said to bring a special connection to you with the spirits, and will give an understanding of decisions and needs made. Well, after asking all these serious questions, I was compelled to ask him about something a little less somber. So I asked him about the food in Venezuela, and which he would rather prefer. I would have been over to Jonathan's house several times, and he had brought me back some food from Venezuela when he was there over winter break. Eating Venezuela food is sort of along the lines of Indian food. Kinda. though not as spicy in its way, has the same content. But the food he let me eat seemed and tasted so much healthier than the food you would get here in America. He also told me that things are usually grilled and not fried as they are here. He admits he loves the fried food here, but is very not good for you. He also says that he misses eating his native food a lot, and I can tell why by eating it. It has a taste that exceeds most food I have had here in America. When we grill out, we have 6 or 7 people over at our house. Jonathan tells me that when they grill out, it is more along the lines of a luau, like you would have in Hawaii. Endless food is prepared for these get-togethers and can be eaten on for at least a week after one of these, if you take it home with you. Hundreds of people are in attendance at these gatherings, I'm told. This brings into account what he told me earlier about having a lot more friends, and makes perfect sense to me. Well, in conclusion, I hope you will go out and experience a new culture, even if it is just by asking questions of someone. In conclusion, I hope you've led to a better understanding of a different culture. I hope I've given you the insight to the experience I have had interviewing and researching for this speech. I hope hearing this leads you to thinking about the differences in daily life as you go on and live yours. Thinking of how safe you are walking down the street. Thinking of how you could take your religious beliefs beyond and more seriously. And thinking of experiencing different foods maybe, besides your normal routine. I challenge all of you who listen to this to go out and experience these things I have for yourself. You will not be disappointed, because having this knowledge makes you more appreciable of things and makes you aware of things you were never previously aware of.